Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Renu Tyagi from Sardar Patel Institute, Ahmedabad. Today we'll learn about the module, the different foodstuffs and their involvement during the exercise under the paper Physiology and Sports Anthropology. Now let's have a look on the learning objectives of this module. The four major objectives of this module are to have an idea about the different type of food or different type of diets. Next is to know about the different type of nutrients in our diet. Then to know about the roles of these nutrients in the body. And then we have to have an understanding about the significance of the nutrients during the exercise and the work. Different foodstuffs that we eat daily are rich in various nutrients in varying quantities depending upon their source and the way they are cooked. There are certain basic nutrients which are and should be present in every diet for maintaining a good health, as they are needed all the time for the different activities in the body to be maintained. These nutrients are carbohydrates, fats, proteins, vitamins and minerals. Apart from these nutrients, the another important component is the water, which should be included in our daily diet in a good quantity. All of these are discussed in the forthcoming part of this module, but before that, it's important to know that there are three broad categories of the food depending on the type of nutrient present in them as well as the type of function that group of food perform. The three broad categories of food are the energy giving food, bodybuilding food and the protective food. Now let's see what are energy giving foods. This group of food constitutes the largest proportion of any diet as they are rich in carbohydrates and fats, thus acting as the fuel for the readily providing energy to the body for our day-to-day activities. The next category is the bodybuilding food. It contains the proteins which is mainly responsible for the formation of new cells and muscles in the body. The next category is the protective food category, which contains the nutrients, basically vitamins and minerals, which are responsible for the protection of the body from various diseases which may occur if these nutrients are not present in our diet in adequate quantities. Let's have a look at the basic nutrient profiling. Let's come to the carbohydrate first. It forms the largest proportion of the daily requirement of essential nutrients as its main function is to provide energy to the millions of cells of the human body. Carbohydrates consist of carbon, hydrogen and oxygen atom, and they are composed of a number of chains of 6 carbon sugar molecule. Depending on its number, they are divided into three main categories, that is monosaccharides, disaccharides and polysaccharides. Monosaccharides is the simplest type of carbohydrate having single 6 carbon molecule. All carbohydrates are reduced to monosaccharides after digestion. Glucose is an example of monosaccharides that is readily oxidized and used by the body to get energy. Sometimes glucose is converted by the digestive system into glycogen, a polysaccharide, and stored in the muscle or liver cells for later use. Interestingly, when the capacity for storing these glycogen molecule in muscles or liver cell is reached, the excess glucose molecules are converted into fat and stored in the adipose tissue. Hence, even if a person is low on fat diet but higher on the carbohydrate diet, then possibly he or she would increase the body fat content. Apart from glucose, which makes about 80% of the digestion product, there are two other monosaccharides found in the human body, that is fructose and galactose. Examples of the disaccharides which have two chains of 6 carbon molecules are maltose, sucrose and lactose. Maltose is formed during the digestion of the starch. Lactose is found in milk, which after digestion breaks into glucose and galactose. The next nutrient is the fat. It is the second major nutrient required in diet because it stores energy needed by the body, carries the fat-soluble vitamin A, D, E and K, provides soft cushioning for protection against shock and jerks to vital organs like heart, lung, liver, kidney, etc. It also acts as an insulator against cold weather, maintaining the temperature of the body and reduce hunger pangs. Fats are also composed of carbon, hydrogen and oxygen atoms, but in differing amount. They have higher carbon and hydrogen amounts but lower oxygen amount. And they are good fuel provider for energy but at a higher oxidation cost. Fats are composed of chains of fatty acids and glycerol. Depending upon the composition of fatty acids, they are divided into saturated and unsaturated fatty acids. Fatty acids are described to be saturated when the carbon atom is linked to many hydrogen atoms with single bond, while in the unsaturated fatty acids, carbon atom is linked to lesser number of hydrogen atoms due to double bonding with them. Monounsaturated fatty acids are those which have one double bond, whereas the polysaturated fatty acids have two or more double bonds. These most common type of fats found and stored in the human body are triglycerides, phospholipids and cholesterol. There are evidences suggest that high intake of saturated fats may increase the risk for cardiovascular diseases. Therefore, diet with the high amount of saturated fat must be replaced with unsaturated fat. Diets rich in fat, especially saturated, include the meat, butter, ghee, milk and milk products, egg yolk, lobsters and crabs. Vegetable oils such as cottonseed oil, corn oil, peanut oil and soybean oil are good sources of unsaturated fat. The next food nutrient is the proteins. Unlike carbohydrate and fat, proteins in addition to the carbon, hydrogen and oxygen also contain nitrogen. Proteins are required by each and every cell and tissues in the body, hence considered as the building blocks. They are used for the formation of cells, hormones and enzymes which perform different functions in different parts of the body. In addition, they are also important for the muscles contractions. Proteins are composed of long chains of nitrogenous compounds called amino acids. On the basis of the ability of the human body to manufacture them, proteins are divided into two forms, essential amino acids and non-essential amino acids. Certain amino acids which are not manufactured inside the human body, hence are needed to be taken from outside, in the diets are referred to as the essential amino acids. Of the 20 known amino acids, 8 are essential, that is isoleucine, leucine, lysine, methionine, phenylalanine, threonine, tryptophan and valine, which are taken from outside in the diet. The remaining ones are the manufactured within the human body and are referred as non-essential amino acids. High on the protein sources are cheese, cereals, beans, nuts, soybeans. However, it is suggested that animal protein sources are high quality proteins as they are good source of all the essential amino acids, whereas the protein from plant sources are referred to as the low quality proteins due to presence of one or more essential amino acids in them. It has been recommended that on an average, an individual must take 1 gram of protein per kilogram of his or her body weight. Vitamins, unlike the carbohydrate and fats, do not provide us energy. Rather, they are organic substances needed in smaller quantities and are essential for the human life. They are not manufactured within our human body. Therefore, they must be taken from outside, either in the diet or through the supplements. They are of two types, the fat-soluble and the water-soluble. The fat-soluble vitamins are made up of carbon, hydrogen and oxygen, whereas the water-soluble vitamins along with these three substances also contain nitrogen, cobalt and sulfur. Since water-soluble vitamins are readily flushed out of the body, every time Therefore, they are not stored and retained in the body. Hence, these vitamins are needed to be taken in the higher quantities as compared to the fat soluble vitamins. The only recommended quantities of these vitamins must be taken, as the excessive intake of these vitamins may have the side effect. The fat soluble vitamins are vitamin A, D, E and K, whereas the water soluble vitamins are vitamin B and vitamin C. Let's come to the minerals now. Minerals do not play any role in supplying energy to the body. They are vital for the proper functioning of the body. It is evident from the fact that minerals are not only found in bones, teeth, cells, muscles and tissues, but they are also found in the body fluids, hormones, enzymes, etc. Calcium, phosphorus, potassium, sulfur, sodium, chlorine, magnesium, iron, copper, iodine forms the basic and essential minerals. Other than these, there are some minerals that are needed in trace include cobalt, bromine, fluorine, manganese, molybdenum and selenium. However, there is no specifically suggested quantity for these minerals, but it is advised that during hotter climate condition as well as working or exercise condition, care must be taken to replenish the depleted level of essential minerals, which get flushed out of the body with the perspiration. It includes sodium, chlorine, potassium, calcium, magnesium, phosphorus, whose balance must be maintained all the time in the body. Similarly, during menstruation and pregnancy, women are advised to take good quantities of iron and folic acid along with others for preventing weakness and maintaining proper functioning of the body. The next important constituent of the diet is the water. Water doesn't have any nutritive value, but it is involved in numerous inter and intracellular activities and reaction. It is present in the various body fluids such as the blood, lymph, saliva, tears and hormonal secretions from different glands. It provides a medium for exchange of substances through different types of membranes within and between the cell. It also possesses heat stabilizing property. Water helps in maintaining the turgidity and osmotic pressure of the cell. Besides, water is very important for the removal of waste and the toxic substances that are excreted out of the body in the form of urine through kidney, perspiration from skin, and water vapors through respiration. It makes up about 50 to 60% of the total body weight. Therefore, it is very important to maintain the balance of water inside the body. Hence, it's recommended to consume 8 to 10 glasses of water, or in other words, up to 3 liters of the water every day. Now, let's have a look on the role of different nutrients in exercise, sports and the work. The 5 smaller than the normal meals in a day are better than the 3 regular size meal, and 3 regular meals are better than the 2 large size meals in a day with respect to the exercise and the training. The frequent feedings are much better than the long term used or the heavy feedings, as it enables the individuals to maintain a better normal blood sugar level and the lipid level throughout the day. But this doesn't mean that the frequent eatings or in between snacks are replaced by fast food stuffs. The total overall number of the daily calorie intake must remain same whether the number of feedings are 3 or 5 per day. Otherwise, it would result into the obesity or the overweight. The pre-game or the exercise meal plan. From the digestion point of view, it is recommended to have meals 3 or more hours before the activity. This would eliminate the added strain on the circulatory system that might be brought about by the working muscles competing with the digestive system for available blood. Pre-game meals can, however, include the carbohydrate-rich elements because it is digested much quickly as compared to any other nutrient, that is fat or proteins. Its conversion into energy takes place at a lower oxygen expense. It helps in maintaining the normal blood sugar level. It increases the reserves of carbohydrates stored in the liver and muscles, thus allowing the long hours of work. The high fat content meal must be eliminated from the pre-meal diet as they are digested slowly as compared to any other diet. They remain in the digestive tract for longer period of time. The psychological factors are of great significance in this part as the food given to the individual engaged in an activity, it is not according to his or her satisfaction will, then it is never to be able to completely focus on the task, leading to a poor results. On the other hand, even if a lower nutritive value foodstuff is enjoyed by the worker during the last minutes before the start of an activity, it could result to the poorer results. Now let's have a look at the role of different nutrients in exercise, sports and the work. Let's see the role of carbohydrate and fat. The glycogen stored in the muscles and liver and glucose present in the blood are the main reserves for providing fuel for the energy production during any exercise. However, fatigue occurs if these reserves get extremely lowered during the exercise. Therefore, it is suggested to take the carbohydrate-rich refreshment before and during the exercise. Depleting cellular glycogen and blood glucose level triggers the mechanism for using the fat stores in the body during intense activities lasting for several hours. During light and the moderate exercise, fat contributes about 50% of the energy requirement. As the exercise continues, the role of stored fat becomes more important, and during prolonged work, it may provide 80% of the energy for the needs of the body. Now let's see the role of protein. The amino acids, specifically alanine and glutamic acid, plays important role during exercise, whose production is highly dependent upon the intensity of exercise. As the intensity of exercise or work increases, the production of alanine also increases. Alanine released from the working muscles is transported through the blood to the liver, where it is deaminated and converted to glucose. This glucose is then released into the blood and transported to the working muscles. Energy derived from the glucose-alanine pathway contributes to as much as 10 to 15% of the total energy requirement. Now let's see the role of vitamin and minerals. Taking vitamin supplements can reverse the effect of vitamin deficiency diseases. However, there has been no role found for the vitamins to improve performance in exercise or sports. Vitamin B complex has been found to be associated to increase performance in sports and activities by releasing energy. But the belief that if little is good, then more must surely be better has led to the usage of other non-applicable vitamins for enhancing physical performance in sports and exercise, and that too also in a higher doses, resulting in their toxic accumulation and in certain cases leading to severe diseases and even deaths. Vitamin supplements are meant for those suffering from vitamin deficiencies and diseases. Since the amount vitamin required by the body is too small, that the people having balanced diets do not need to take any further supplements or the extra dose. An important consequence of the prolonged exercise, especially in the hot weather, is the loss of water along with several essential minerals such as sodium, chloride and potassium. Excessive water electrolyte loss may result into reduced heat tolerance and exercise performance. It could further lead to heat cramps, heat stroke, and heat exhaustion. The crucial and immediate need in these situations is to replace the water lost through sweating along with the mineral content. And this could be achieved by mixing some salt in the water to be ingested or food to be eaten. Let's see the important role performed by the water in our diet. The amount of water that gets lost during the exercise depends on the intensity and the duration of exercise and the weather condition. In hot weather, the water loss is higher as compared to the humid days. So it is very important to maintain the balance of the water within the body, because it's this water only that during perspiration provide cooling to the body by the process of evaporation. Moreover, maintaining its balance is very important for reducing the chance of getting affected by heat stroke and exhaustion. Now let's see the role of nutrient during exercise, sports or any work. Energy needed by a body while doing work, playing sports or doing any exercise mainly comes from two different types of metabolism, which is anaerobic or aerobic, which leads to the production of ATP and CP molecule. By now, we know that carbohydrates are broken down into glucose, which are then transported to the muscles and liver cells for getting stored into glycogen by the blood. During anaerobic metabolism, a series of reactions takes place, starting with the 6-carbon molecule being broken down partially from glycogen into 2 3-carbon molecules of pyruvic or lactic acid. This process is known as the anaerobic glycolysis. Since all these steps takes place in the absence of oxygen, hence known as the anaerobic glycolysis. It results in the production of only 2 ATP molecules. Under aerobic conditions, the breakdown of glucose takes place in the same way as in anaerobic metabolism, except for the production of lactic acid from the pyruvic acid molecule. Here, the end products are carbon dioxide and water with the total breakdown of the glucose molecule along with 38 ATP molecules. Aerobic pathway requires oxygen and can use all the 3 different foodstuffs, that is carbohydrate, fats and proteins. Let's see the post-game exercise meal plan. Most importantly, the post-game meal must include fluid diet high in mineral content so as to replenish the essential minerals from the body which got exhausted during strenuous and high energy requiring activities. Apart from this, it is very important to rebuild the fat and carbohydrate reserves in the body which got depleted during the exercise. For this, the person must include diets rich in carbohydrates and moderate in the fat. The diet must include protein content as well. For a better understanding, the following table has been constructed, mentioning the different metabolic pathways involved in the different sports activities. Here we can see the different activities with the different type of exercises and the type of metabolism involved and the nutrient conserves used. As we can see, for example, that kind of exercise like cycling, it's a short duration high intensity exercise which majorly involves the anaerobic pathway and in a minor way aerobic pathway, and it uses the stored glycogen in the body. Similarly, in the exercise like swimming, it's a high intensity exercise lasting for several minutes and it uses both aerobic and anaerobic pathway, and the type of food stored used is the muscles glycogen. Similarly, in the activities like the jogging or channel swimming, which is a long duration exercise, it utilizes basically aerobic pathway. And the kind of food reserves utilized in such kind of activities are the fats and the carbohydrates with amino acids and protein reserves. Now let's summarize this module. We have studied the different type of foodstuffs which are broadly categorized as the energy providing, the bodybuilding foodstuffs and the protective foodstuffs. As we have understood by now that the bodybuilding foods are nothing but the proteins, the protective foods are the vitamins and minerals, and the energy giving foods are the carbohydrates and the fats. Besides, water is playing an important role. The water is involved in the numerous intra and intercellular activities and the reactions. Water is very important for the removal of the waste and the toxic substances that are excreted out of the body in the form of the urine through the kidneys and perspirations from the skin and through the water vapor by the process of evaporation or respiration. It makes up about 50 to 60% of the body. The glycogen stored in the muscles and the livers and the glucose present in the blood are the main reserves for the fuel provision or for the energy production during any exercise. During light and a moderate exercise, the fat constitutes about 50% of the energy requirement. As the exercise continues, the role of the stored fat becomes more important, and during a prolonged work, it may provide 80% of the energy for the needs of the body. The energy derived from the glycose-alanine pathway contributes to as much as the 10 to 15% of the total energy requirement. Apart from this, not much is known about the role of the proteins during the exercise period. The vitamin supplements are meant for those suffering from the vitamin deficiencies and the diseases. Since the amount of the vitamin required for the body is quite small, so that people having the balanced diet do not need to take any further supplement in their diet. An important consequences of the prolonged exercise, especially in the hot weather, is the loss of the water from the body, and such as the loss of the minerals also takes place, like those of the sodium, chlorine and the potassium. So, it is very important to maintain the balance of the water within the body, because it is this water that during the perspiration provides cooling to the body as a result of the evaporation. The post-game meal must include the fluid which are high in the mineral content, so as to replenish the essential minerals from the body which get evaporated or exhausted during the strenuous or high energy requiring activities. Apart from this, it is very important to rebuild the fat and the carbohydrate reserves in the body which get depleted during the exercise. Thank you.